Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're ready to boost your English and get inspired by some incredible history, you're in the right place. Today we're diving into the story of one of the most legendary figures in American history, Abraham Lincoln. But this isn't just about history, it's about learning English, building your vocabulary, and getting motivated to achieve your goals. So grab a seat, get ready to learn, and let's jump into this amazing journey together. By the end of this video, you'll not only know more about Lincoln's legacy, but you'll also be more confident in your English skills. Let's get started. Abraham Lincoln, often remembered as one of the greatest leaders in American history, was the 16th President of the United States. His life and presidency remain a source of inspiration for people around the world. Born on February 12, 1809, in a small log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, Lincoln's journey from humble beginnings to the highest office in the land is a story of perseverance, wisdom, and unwavering dedication to justice. Despite facing numerous challenges, Lincoln's legacy as a leader who fought to preserve the Union and end slavery continues to shape America. Lincoln grew up in a poor family. His early years were filled with hardships, as his family moved frequently in search of better opportunities. He received very little formal education, attending school only for about a year in total. However, he was a voracious reader and taught himself by borrowing books whenever he could. This self-education helped him develop a strong sense of logic, language, and morality. His love for reading and his deep interest in law and politics laid the foundation for his future career. In his early adulthood, Lincoln worked various jobs, including being a store clerk and a surveyor. He eventually decided to pursue a career in law. After studying intensely on his own, he passed the bar exam in 1836 and began practicing law in Springfield, Illinois. He earned a reputation as an honest and skilled lawyer, which led to his nickname, Honest Abe. While practicing law, Lincoln developed a deep understanding of people, politics, and justice. These qualities would later make him a formidable leader during the most challenging period in American history. Lincoln entered politics as a member of the Illinois State Legislature, and later served a single term in the U.S. House of Representatives. However, it was his debates with Senator Stephen Douglas during the 1858 Illinois Senate race that brought him national attention. Although he lost that election, his powerful arguments against the expansion of slavery showcased his commitment to equality and justice. This commitment played a significant role in his election as president in 1860. As president, Lincoln took office at a time when the United States was deeply divided. The Southern states, fearing that his presidency would threaten their way of life, seceded from the Union, leading to the outbreak of the Civil War in 1861. Lincoln's primary goal was to preserve the Union at all costs. He believed that the United States, as a unified nation, was essential for the future of democracy. Despite facing criticism from both sides, Lincoln's leadership remained steady and resolute. One of Lincoln's most significant achievements was the Emancipation Proclamation, issued on January 1, 1863. This executive order declared that all slaves in the Confederate States were to be set free. Although it did not immediately end slavery, it marked a turning point in the war by giving it a moral purpose and signaling the eventual abolition of slavery in the United States. The proclamation also allowed African Americans to join the Union Army, strengthening the fight against the Confederacy. Lincoln's ability to communicate effectively with the public was another hallmark of his presidency. His speeches, such as the Gettysburg Address, are considered masterpieces of American oratory. Delivered during the dedication of a cemetery for soldiers who died in the Battle of Gettysburg, the Gettysburg Address was a brief but profound statement about the principles of democracy, equality, and national unity. In just 272 words, Lincoln reminded the nation of its founding ideals and emphasized the importance of continuing the fight for a new birth of freedom. Despite the immense challenges of leading a nation at war, Lincoln maintained a sense of humility and compassion. He frequently visited soldiers on the battlefield and personally comforted families who had lost loved ones. His deep empathy for others and his unwavering commitment to justice made him a symbol of hope for many Americans. Tragically, Lincoln's life was cut short just as the Civil War was coming to an end. On April 14, 1865, he was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. His death shocked the nation and left a lasting void in American leadership. However, his vision for a united country and his fight against slavery lived on, shaping the nation's future. Abraham Lincoln's legacy is one of courage, determination, and the relentless pursuit of justice. He remains an enduring figure in American history, celebrated for his leadership during one of the country's darkest times. His life story serves as a reminder that even in the face of great adversity, one person's actions can profoundly impact the course of history. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is most remembered for his steadfast leadership during the Civil War, a time when the nation faced its greatest internal crisis. Serving from 1861 to 1865, Lincoln took on the monumental task of preserving the Union amidst a bloody conflict that pitted the northern states against the southern states, which had seceded to form the Confederate States of America. His leadership during this critical period not only saved the United States as a single unified nation, but also set the stage for the abolition of slavery, fundamentally reshaping the country's future. When Lincoln assumed office in March 1861, tensions between the North and South had reached a breaking point. The issue of slavery, deeply rooted in the Southern economy and way of life, was the primary cause of this division. The Southern states feared that Lincoln, a vocal opponent of the expansion of slavery, would act against their interests. This fear led 11 Southern states to secede from the Union, starting with South Carolina in December 1860, and form the Confederacy under the leadership of Jefferson Davis. The Civil War officially began in April 1861, when Confederate forces attacked Fort Sumter in South Carolina. Lincoln faced the immense challenge of rallying the northern states to defend the Union. He approached the war with a clear and unwavering goal: to preserve the United States as a single nation. While many in the North were primarily concerned with maintaining the Union, Lincoln gradually framed the conflict as a moral struggle against slavery, a shift that would redefine the war's purpose. Throughout the war, Lincoln demonstrated exceptional leadership and political acumen. He worked tirelessly to maintain the support of the border states, which were slaveholding states that had not joined the Confederacy. These states were critical to the Union's strategic position, and Lincoln used careful diplomacy and at times forceful measures to ensure their loyalty. He also navigated intense political pressures from both radicals, who demanded immediate abolition, and conservatives, who urged caution. One of Lincoln's most significant contributions to the war effort was his ability to inspire and unify the Northern population. His speeches and public addresses, such as the Gettysburg Address, articulated the profound importance of the conflict. In November 1863, at the dedication of a battlefield cemetery in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, Lincoln delivered a short but powerful speech that emphasized the principles of democracy, equality, and national unity. He reminded Americans that the Civil War was not just a struggle for territory, but a test of whether a nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal could endure. Lincoln's leadership extended beyond words. He made bold and controversial decisions, including suspending certain civil liberties, such as the writ of habeas corpus, to maintain order and prevent dissent in the North. These actions were criticized by some as authoritarian, but Lincoln defended them as necessary measures to preserve the Union in a time of unprecedented crisis. A turning point in Lincoln's presidency and the Civil War came with the issuance of the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1, 1863. This executive order declared that all slaves in the Confederate States were to be freed. While the proclamation did not immediately free all enslaved people, it fundamentally altered the nature of the war by making the abolition of slavery a central goal. It also allowed African Americans to join the Union Army, providing a significant boost to the Northern war effort. By the end of the war, nearly 200,000 black soldiers and sailors had served in the Union forces, playing a crucial role in its victory. Lincoln's ability to manage the Union's military strategy was another key aspect of his leadership. Although he faced challenges with early Union generals who were often hesitant or ineffective, he eventually found strong leadership in figures like Ulysses S. Grant and William Tecumseh Sherman. Lincoln worked closely with his generals to coordinate military campaigns that would cripple the Confederacy, such as Sherman's famous March to the Sea, which devastated the South's infrastructure and economy. By 1865, the Union forces had gained the upper hand, and the Confederacy was on the brink of collapse. On April 9, 1865, Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Courthouse, effectively ending the Civil War. Lincoln had achieved his goal of preserving the Union, but he did not live to see the full realization of his vision for a united and free nation. Just days after the surrender on April 14, 1865, Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer, while attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. His death was a devastating blow to the nation, which had only just begun to recover from the horrors of war. Lincoln's leadership during the Civil War solidified his legacy as one of America's greatest presidents. He not only preserved the Union, but also paved the way for the abolition of slavery through the passage of the 13th Amendment, which was ratified later in 1865. His ability to lead with compassion, wisdom, and determination during the nation's darkest hour has made him an enduring symbol of justice and equality. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Gettysburg Address is its brevity. While other speakers at the ceremony gave long, formal addresses, Lincoln's remarks were concise yet packed with meaning. In just 272 words, he managed to redefine the purpose of the war and the future of the nation. His use of language was simple, yet it resonated deeply with listeners and continues to inspire people to this day. The speech also served as a call for national unity and healing. Lincoln acknowledged the immense sacrifice made by the soldiers who fought at Gettysburg and throughout the war, but he also urged the living to continue the work of building a nation founded on freedom, justice, and equality. The tone of the address was somber, but it was also hopeful, urging the nation to move forward in the pursuit of a new birth of freedom. The Gettysburg Address was not widely recognized as a masterpiece at the time of its delivery. In fact, some critics thought it was too brief and insufficient for such an important occasion. However, as the years passed, its significance became clearer, and it has since become one of the defining documents in American history. The speech has been quoted and referenced by countless leaders, scholars, and activists, all drawing on its powerful message of equality, democracy, and national unity. In many ways, the Gettysburg Address encapsulates the essence of Lincoln's presidency. It reflects his ability to inspire, to frame complex issues in simple and compelling terms, and to convey a vision for the future that was both morally righteous and deeply rooted in American ideals. Through this speech, Lincoln reaffirmed his belief in the enduring promise of America, a country that, despite its flaws and challenges, could strive toward a more perfect union. Abraham Lincoln's promotion of the 13th Amendment was one of his most significant and lasting contributions to American society. The amendment, which abolished slavery in the United States, was a critical step toward realizing the ideals of freedom and equality upon which the nation was founded. Lincoln's determination to pass the 13th Amendment, despite tremendous political opposition and the ongoing Civil War, demonstrated his commitment to ending the institution of slavery and ensuring a more just future for the nation. By the time Lincoln took office in 1861, slavery had been a deeply entrenched institution in the Southern states for centuries. Although the issue of slavery had been a central cause of the Civil War, Lincoln initially focused on preserving the Union rather than directly confronting the issue of slavery. However, as the war progressed, it became clear to him that the abolition of slavery was essential not only for moral reasons, but also to weaken the Confederacy, which relied heavily on slave labor to support its war effort. The Emancipation Proclamation, issued by Lincoln on January 1, 1863, was an important first step toward ending slavery, as it declared the freedom of enslaved people in the Confederate States. However, Lincoln knew that the proclamation could be reversed by future administrations, and it only applied to areas of the country in rebellion, leaving slavery intact in Union border states and regions already under Union control. To ensure that slavery was permanently abolished in all states, Lincoln strongly advocated for a constitutional amendment. The 13th Amendment, which was first introduced in Congress in 1863, was Lincoln's primary legislative goal in the final years of his presidency. The amendment's text was simple but profound. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. This language would make slavery illegal throughout the entire country, forever. Lincoln faced significant political challenges in promoting the 13th Amendment. Many Northern Democrats, particularly those in border states where slavery was still legal, were opposed to it. Even some Republicans, who were generally sympathetic to the abolition cause, were hesitant to support the amendment, fearing it would divide the country further and threaten the chances of a successful end to the war. In addition, the Confederacy was still fighting the Union in the South, and Lincoln understood that passing the amendment while the war was ongoing could be politically perilous. Be concise. Despite these challenges, Lincoln worked tirelessly to gather support for the 13th Amendment. He used his skills as a politician and his strong moral conviction to persuade members of Congress to vote in favor of the amendment. Lincoln's approach was pragmatic, often engaging in behind-the-scenes negotiations and making political compromises to secure the necessary votes. He was determined to ensure that the amendment would pass before the end of the Civil War, as he recognized that its success would not only bring an end to slavery, but also help heal the divisions that had torn the nation apart. After months of lobbying, the House of Representatives voted to approve the 13th Amendment on January 31, 1865, with a vote of 119 to 56. The Senate had already passed the amendment in April 1864. Lincoln's unwavering leadership was crucial in securing this victory, and it marked the culmination of his efforts to eradicate slavery. The passage of the amendment also helped to shift the moral and political landscape of the war, giving the Union a clear moral purpose in its fight against the Confederacy. The 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865, several months after Lincoln's assassination. While Lincoln did not live to see the amendment's official adoption, his role in pushing for its passage remains a central part of his legacy. The amendment forever changed the social and political fabric of the United States, marking the official end of slavery and setting the stage for the country's long and equality struggle for civil rights and equality. Lincoln's promotion of the 13th Amendment exemplified his deep moral conviction and his ability to lead the nation through one of its most difficult periods. His commitment to abolishing slavery not only shaped the course of the Civil War, but also helped define the nation's values, ensuring that the ideals of freedom and equality would become a fundamental part of American life. Abraham Lincoln is remembered as one of the greatest leaders in American history, widely respected for his leadership, humility, and unwavering commitment to the principles of democracy and equality. His time as president during the Civil War was one of the most challenging periods in American history, but his ability to lead the country through this difficult time and his deep dedication to justice and freedom left a lasting impact on the nation. Lincoln's leadership was defined by his clear vision and determination to preserve the Union during the Civil War, a conflict that threatened to tear the United States apart. When Lincoln took office in 1861, the country was divided over the issue of slavery, with the Southern states seceding from the Union to form the Confederacy. Lincoln knew that the survival of the United States depended on keeping the country united, so he focused on maintaining the Union at all costs. Even though the task seemed impossible and the war was devastating, Lincoln remained committed to his goal of preserving the country and ultimately ending slavery. One of the most notable aspects of Lincoln's leadership was his humility. Despite being in one of the most powerful positions in the country, he never saw himself as above others. He was known for being approachable and for listening to people, no matter their background or political affiliation. His humility allowed him to build a cabinet with members who disagreed with him on many issues, but he valued their input and worked with them to make decisions for the country. Lincoln's humility also showed in his personal life, where he never sought fame or glory for his accomplishments. He focused on doing what was right, not what would benefit him personally. In addition to his leadership and humility, Lincoln's dedication to democracy and equality made him a transformative figure in American history. He believed in the power of the people to shape their government, a belief that is central to the idea of democracy. He saw his role as president not just as a leader of the government, but as a representative of the people's will. During his presidency, he worked hard to ensure that the United States would live up to its founding ideals of liberty and justice for all, even in the face of great opposition and division. One of the key ways Lincoln demonstrated his commitment to equality was through the Emancipation Proclamation, which he issued in 1863. This document declared that all enslaved people in Confederate states were to be freed, fundamentally changing the nature of the Civil War and making the abolition of slavery a primary goal of the Union. Although the proclamation did not immediately free all enslaved people, it marked a turning point in the fight for freedom and equality. Lincoln knew that ending slavery was not only a moral imperative, but also essential for the future of the United States. Lincoln's dedication to equality and democracy was also evident in his famous speeches, such as the Gettysburg Address. Delivered in 1863 during the dedication of a cemetery for soldiers who had died in the Battle of Gettysburg, the speech powerfully reaffirmed the nation's commitment to the principles of freedom and equality. In just a few short paragraphs, Lincoln reminded the American people that the country was founded on the idea that all men are created equal, and that it was their duty to ensure that the nation lived up to that promise. Throughout his presidency, Lincoln faced immense pressure and criticism, yet he remained committed to his vision for a united, just, and democratic America. His ability to lead with both strength and compassion, his humility in the face of power, and his unwavering belief in the principles of equality and democracy have made him an enduring symbol of American values. Even though he faced some of the darkest times in U.S. history, Lincoln's leadership helped guide the country toward a future where freedom and equality would become core values of the nation. His legacy continues to inspire leaders and citizens alike, reminding us of the importance of humility, justice, and dedication to the greater good. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was tragically assassinated in 1865, just days after the Civil War ended. He was shot and killed by John Wilkes Booth, an actor who supported the Confederate cause and opposed Lincoln's efforts to preserve the Union and end slavery. Lincoln was attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., when Booth entered and shot him. He died the following day, on April 15, 1865. Lincoln's assassination came at a time when the nation was beginning to heal from the long and brutal Civil War. The Confederacy had surrendered, and the country was facing the difficult task of rebuilding and reconciling. Lincoln had worked tirelessly to reunite the country and had already started to make plans for the peaceful reintegration of the southern states. His death was a devastating blow to the nation, leaving many to wonder how the country would move forward without his leadership. Despite the tragedy, Lincoln's death made him a martyr for the cause of freedom and unity. He had always been a symbol of the fight for equality, especially through his efforts to abolish slavery. His leadership had helped guide the country through its darkest time, and his death cemented his legacy as a hero who stood for justice, liberty, and the preservation of the Union. After his assassination, people across the country mourned his loss deeply, recognizing the tremendous sacrifice he had made for the nation. Lincoln's death also sparked a renewed commitment to the ideals he stood for. His vision of a united country, where all people are free and equal, became even more powerful after his death, inspiring generations to come. In the years that followed, Lincoln's memory was honored and celebrated. His legacy as a leader who fought for the freedom of all people and the unity of the nation grew stronger. Today, Lincoln is remembered not just for his accomplishments during his life, but also for the lasting impact he had on the United States, becoming a symbol of hope, freedom, and the enduring spirit of the American people. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new today and found inspiration in the story of Abraham Lincoln. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support means a lot to me and helps the channel grow. Feel free to share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. Until next time, keep learning, stay motivated, and I'll see you in the next video.